All right, good morning. I want to welcome you to the Kirk Anderson Show. And as many of you have guessed, my name is Kirk Anderson, and I've been a co-host on Dryden Wire for several years, and I am also a host of several other podcasts for about 10 years. Today I was thinking about how to introduce this show and what we'll talk about in the future episodes. And I thought of an analogy of hats, because we all wear hats. And what hats you wear or have worn will dictate the experiences that you can give and talk about. And so some of the hats that I wear currently are that I am a husband to a wife, Shara, who I get to sit next to actually today. She's one of the guests on today's show. And I am the father of 5 amazing kids. I'm the owner of a marketing and technology company in St. Croix Falls. I'm also the proud mayor of the city of St. Croix Falls, a firefighter and first responder, and a Rotarian. So in this show, I'll use my experiences from some of the hats that I wear to focus on people and organizations in the community that are making a huge difference. We'll talk about business, marketing, and technology to try and bring some help to small businesses and educate you on what's coming up in the world as far as technology. And then we'll highlight some of the news stories that you can find on drydenwire.com. I have to thank my sponsor for today's show, who is Rhett Bozen. He's the authorized AT&T business manager for Wisconsin. And if you're looking to upgrade your cell phone or internet, give Rhett a call today and mention the keyword Dryden Wire to take advantage of the show specials. Obviously, today we're all thinking about the weather. And as much of Dryden Wire's coverage area is under a winter storm advisory or a winter storm warning, and snow accumulations could reach up to 9+ inches in some areas. So please be careful if you're traveling and stay home if you can. A little news note, yesterday in Osceola, Wisconsin, which is in Polk County where I'm located, there was a fire that destroyed a local business called the Red Bird Music Store, and it unfortunately was completely destroyed along with all of its contents. This store had some very unique guitars and a lot of old music collections and things like that, so it was a very popular store in that area, and late last night they were taking the store down with excavators. So the community's been rallying around the store owner. We wish them well, and we'll hopefully have more information about that on drydenwire.com. All right, so I'm going to cut to a little sponsor video.
Are you ready for a new cell phone or cellular service provider? Rhett Bozen's an AT&T authorized retailer and is ready to get you connected. Skip the store and get personalized support at your business or home. Call Rhett today at 715-771-3535.
All right, and we are back, and I have some special guests in the studio today, and January being National Mentoring Month, we are focusing on an organization that specializes in mentoring, and so today in the studio I have representatives from Kinship of Polk County, which is located here in Polk County. Kinship is a private, nonprofit organization that believes in and promotes the concept of youth mentoring. Kinship of Polk County is an affiliate of a national organization which has 19+ affiliates located in the upper Midwest, and together they serve nearly 1,800 youth in elementary through high school. Today, to talk about their kinship mentoring programs and why you might want to get involved with mentoring, I have in the studio Shara, Lisa, Carolee, and Amy. And so first, welcome. I want to give you an opportunity to introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about your background and how long you've been with Kinship. And so we can start here with Shara.
Hi, my name is Shara Anderson, and I am the service coordinator for the Frederick and Luck area. I'm the new kid on the block, so I've been here was a year last October. So,
welcome. We're glad to have you.
Love being here.
My name is Lisa Thanig, and I am the director for Kinship. I have been with the program since 2010. Prior to coming on board, I was an elementary teacher in the Woodbury area.
My name is Carolee Talkson. I am the service coordinator for Osceola, St. Croix Falls, Unity areas. Started in 2000, and prior to that was a youth director over in the cities. Love kids. It's been a good fit for me.
Hi, I'm Amy Danielson. I am the service coordinator in the Amory, Clear Lake, and Clayton areas. I came on board with Kinship in 2001, so I've been here for a while, and I came right out of college.
All right, awesome. Well, thanks for making the trek in the snow. For those who might not be listening today and looking on this at a future broadcast, it is snowing heavy out there, and we had to come from different areas of Polk County to get here, and some of you had much more snow than we have in St. Croix Falls. But regardless, thanks for making the trip down here. So as we get started with this, mentoring is obviously been around for a long time. Your organization in Polk County has been here for over 20 years. What is the date that was started? Like, when did you guys? You obviously haven't been here for the whole time, but when did it start in Polk County, and what was kind of the reason for the county or the organization to get started?
Well, I can answer that question. We have actually been in existence here in Polk County since 1980. The director of Health and Human Services at the time saw a need, and so he had heard about Kinship. We are actually an affiliate, and so he thought it would be a good fit for the county. And so, the program started in 1980 as just a community-based program, and then I believe in 1997, we were looking for ways to reach out to more youth in the community, and thought that partnering with the school districts would be a great resolution to that. And so in 97, we started working with school districts, primarily I think Frederick and Luck, and then slowly built into all of the districts. Anything you wanted to add?
No,
No?
that's perfect.
Okay.
So currently you're working in all the school districts within Polk County. Now, I know I've seen comments from Polk County of Barron County, so they've commented on some of Ben's other shows. So it is an affiliate type thing. So I misspoke. 22 years. You've been
It's
darn
been a
near
lot
40
longer.
years. Got to do my math. I think I was in kindergarten in 1980.
We've
so.
got experience for 22 years
Yeah,
between
that's-
Carolee and Amy.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you guys have been with the program for an awful long time, but it's been here a lot longer. So can you describe or define what exactly a mentor is, and then follow that up with what a mentee is?
Let's take that.
I can take that one. I'll start with a mentee. A mentee is just one of the youth that are in our program that are being supported one-on-one by an adult. Our mentors, and I'm going to let these guys fill in the blanks, but they come in it's a broad spectrum. So we have individual mentors, we have couples who mentor, we have families who actually mentor. A mentor is just somebody who is willing to commit to meeting with a youth on a regular basis. In our program, we ask for 3 to 4 times a month. We really encourage weekly and just consistent time together. And so mentor is the adults, the older mentee is the youth, the children in our program.
And what are the typical ages of the mentees that you're trying to match? I mean, obviously you go from elementary to high school, but is there kind of a more popular age that kids are in the program, or is it pretty widespread?
We ask or encourage our youth to come in between the ages of 5 and 15, and that's primarily at 15 so we can carry them through graduation, or the age of 18. We do make exceptions every once in a while when we have a need that we can meet, but we love to get them in the program so they can be in and supported for as long as we can possibly do that. And so typically 5 to 15, and then carried through graduation.
Cool. And just as a reminder for folks that might be watching, if you have questions, put them in the comments and I can relay those to the panel of guests. So how many school districts are in Polk County and that you're serving? And then what's the difference between working in a school versus more of a traditional a mentor outside of the school district? Because I know that you have kind of a unique situation where you're actually doing mentoring in the school with students to younger students. So can you kind of talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I believe there's 8 school districts in Polk County, and we are in all 8 of those school districts, serving kindergarten up through middle school in some areas. And the difference between school mentoring and traditional mentoring is school mentoring mentors within the confines of the school day and during the school year. And what that allows us to do is to maybe make use of a broader spectrum of mentors. So for our school mentoring program, we utilize a lot of high school students because they have some extra oversight. We can use somebody that's under 18 at that point. And our traditional or community-based program is our adults, anybody that's 18 and over, and they meet outside of the school day, outside of the school building, in the community, doing things together at that part. They both are really unique and fabulous programs. One of the nice things about community-based is that they're not under the constraints or the confines of the school building or the area. So their choices of activities are broader, and their time, they have more time. The school mentoring program is limited to 30 minutes one time a week. But so that's the main difference between the school mentoring and the community-based mentoring.
Is that like a senior in high school, a junior in high school with an elementary school kid?
So we go freshmen. We use some freshmen. I think we're a little sparing, but we have up through seniors.
Okay, cool. Is that well received by the schools? Do they
Yes.
enjoy that? It's not a challenge to get into the school?
I think one of the things that's unique is we work specifically with each district, and so each program looks a little bit different in the sense of the age. In some districts we're primarily elementary, and some we're elementary into intermediate, and some we're stretching into middle school, and so we really work specifically to meet the needs within each district as they see fit. I think the challenge has become increasingly, the time is challenging because we have so much going on in the school day, and for our teachers, they're balancing a lot of different schedules. So if there's a number one challenge, that's it. The need is there, the benefit is there, trying to fit high school and the younger students together at times can be challenging, just how the schedules work. I'm going to add to Amy, one of the things I think we've all seen and that we love watching is just the benefit to our high school mentors. So obviously our goal is to meet the needs of the students, the younger students, and give them support. But in essence, our mentors are really benefited from giving back to the community in that way and having those experiences. Being at Kinship for over 20 years, it's been fun to watch the cycle as well, and I think we can all attest to watching students who are mentored and have come into high school and have chosen to mentor because they know what that means to them. That's really, really fun to watch. And then we've had high school mentors who have gone on into college and beyond and continued mentoring because they recognized how it impacted and wanted to continue doing that. So just seeing that cycle over time and recognizing in our community the richness of this program and what it builds is very, very fun to watch.
Yeah, I had a mentor this year that was in school mentoring when she was in elementary school, and when I was interviewing her, I asked her, one of the questions is, why do you want to be a mentor? And she said, I was in Kinship when I was in elementary school, and it was the highlight of my week. I loved it. That was what I looked forward to. That was what gave me that, whatever. And she's like, and I want to be that for somebody else. Like, I want to offer that same thing. And she was just so excited. I mean, she was so beaming that she could interview and potentially be a mentor. So that is a very fun thing to watch.
I can imagine, the youth watching kids like hang out with older football players that are helping with the football team or the basketball, the biddy ball have the varsity come in, they idolize those kids. And so as a elementary school student, we always loved to have the older kids. They were the cool kids come in and spend time with us. And then giving that responsibility to an older student must do something for them emotionally and mentally and maturing wise. So it seems like a really good fit.
You know, kind of to add to that, it is for the elementary school kids, like to see them like, here's this kid that they're just so excited. But this year I've kind of gotten to see a little bit of the flip side, because one of my sons is a mentor, and I had he and a couple of his friends that are all mentors were at our house eating supper one night, and they started talking about their kinship kids, and they were starting to be like, no, my kinship kid's better. I mean, like, they had this whole conversation about how these little kids and how excited they were to see him, and I was just standing back kind of watching, but to hear the excitement of these kids, or these high school, 6'2" football players talking about this little like 3'0" kid who's just like beaming to see him, and how excited that made them. It was a really fun experience.
Sure, did you have something?
It goes beyond that 30 minutes too, because we're in small communities. They see each other out and about, or in the hallway, or we're just making meaningful connections. Even though sometimes it seems like, oh, it's 30 minutes a week, it doesn't feel like much, but it's much bigger than that. And it is magical to go in, to the library or wherever they are, and just see these kids playing board games, or the hockey player making that connection with that kid who is struggling to make a connection anywhere else. But man, they can shoot back and forth, and it's really neat to see.
Yeah, obviously, mentoring is known to be important. Is there any studies or backgrounds or some evidence-based data that shows why it's important, and why you're pouring 20 years and 40 years with the program into doing this? Like, why is it important to have kids mentored?
Sure. Well, I think it's pretty obvious that mentoring works. I mean, we've been around for 42 years, right? There's a program called Big Brothers Big Sisters that's been around forever as well. I'm sure everybody knows about that, so we know that it works. There's been multiple studies done on why it's so successful. Kids who are mentored are more likely to volunteer when they become adults. Kids who mentor are less likely to make those negative behavior choices as coping mechanisms if they're having experiencing some trauma or something else in their home life. Kids who have a mentor are more likely to graduate, and that's huge. A lot of our kids, they might not go off to college, but they're graduating high school and they're moving on and being productive, adults. They're right here in our community. I remember one of our board members saying once, sometimes these kids, they graduate, they make it through, and that's huge for them, especially when maybe their parent didn't graduate, and here they are, in our community working as maybe our local mechanic, or maybe they, work at the bank, or, they're alongside of us. So it's really important that we're providing those connections for those kids who need it the most, so that they can grow into productive, healthy, and happy, people.
I think we, as parents, want to believe that we have the ability to do everything for our kids. And yet, as a youth, I had a youth pastor who was very influential in my life, and I'm still connected with online. He was a mentor to me. And I know that my 16, 17-year-old daughter, I can't always be there for her. And so I'm just very happy that she has people in her life that meet on a weekly basis, or they go out to lunch and just talk. And, I see that and how it can benefit so many kids.
Can I add in? I
Yeah,
think
absolutely.
one of the things that was very striking to me when I first started the job, I remember driving back from one of my homes and recognizing there was no web of support underneath the family. And so I was blessed to grow up where not only did I have my mom and my dad, but I also had an extended family, along with a community of people. My church family, we lived in a rural community. There were a lot of neighbors that I knew were watching and had my back and my family's back. And so we had just this web built in that was normal for me. And I had never thought about anything about it because it was just what I had. And that was one of the things that struck me the most, is walking out of families where they had no extended family in the area. They might not have been connected to the community in any way that built relationship. They might not have known neighbors. And so when stressful, just life, and it's stressful for everybody in their own realm, there wasn't even a string holding underneath them to catch. And that's really hard for all of us if we don't have that support. And so I think over the years of watching that repeat itself and what a difference it means to our families, just to even have just one rope underneath them with somebody saying, I care and I'm going to be here for your child. And I think to add on to your comment too is it's very humbling for a parent to say, I need help. And I think it struck me there too, if I lost my husband or I was, found myself in a different scenario and had to, had to ask for help, and to watch my child go and do things that maybe I really wanted to do with them or wished I could. I have such admiration for the parents in our program who reach out to us and give their kids over and let us come alongside of them. And so I think just as a community, we live in a really special community that takes that responsibility, and really fantastic people who wrap around our kids. And so I think just that piece of we are each other's rope, and there are a lot of kids in our community that need that support underneath them, along with their parents, just to have that knowledge of somebody who cares. So.
And I think that connection, that in-person connection, especially because so much is online now, just to have that. Thinking back to who is a mentor, I think some people feel like it takes some real special qualifications, and it really doesn't. It needs somebody who's consistent, who's willing to show up, and then your interests. We screen both mentees and mentors to find an interest base that matches. So if you love gardening, you love mechanic. I mean, the spread is as wide as people are, so it can be anything, baking, dirt biking, whatever it is, and that's really what we look for. So I hate to think that there's people not mentoring because they think they're not good enough. We need you.
Yeah. So on that same line, I mean, there's two thoughts that I'm thinking of. One is, as a parent, I'm very cautious about who I let my kids hang around with, both their peers, but also there's a lot of people that are kind of creepy out there. And, we have to put our trust in someone. I would much rather put it in an organization that has a track record. What are some of the safety nets that you have, and how much, once you say you two are paired, how much do you hang out with them and kind of stay with them, or are they on their own? And I assume they're not, but talk about like the process and how safe it is.
I can take that one. Our screening process starts with an application, so just a written application. It includes 3 references, and that is the beginning of our check. We reach out to all those references to get feedback on the mentor. Obviously, the benefit of a small community is most of us know each other, and so that also helps. We do police background checks, local and state. We do sex offender registry. So we're doing a very
Thorough.
Thank you.
Intensive.
Yeah, just making sure that the mentors that we have coming on board, anybody who applies, we are checking their background. We do an in-home interview. I think that is really imperative to see where they live, what their lifestyle is like, have a chance to get to know them a little bit and spend a little time with them.
I think that's fantastic.
And that is very helpful. I will say we're also all moms. And I think one of the pieces of our jobs that I have appreciated is, at the end of the day, even if all those things check out but we're uncomfortable, we have the right, I guess, to say we're just not comfortable going ahead and matching. And I think for me, it's always been a tool of, if I wouldn't send my kids off with a person, I'm not going to send somebody else's kids off with a person. And that has only happened. There's one time I can remember where everything checked out okay, but it just didn't feel right. And I'm grateful that I can follow, just that I just don't feel okay. So we're really, really cautious on making sure if we are going to put somebody in place with your child that they are safe, and then following up, we do follow up on a regular basis once we match, and so we tend to check in about every month just to make sure both sides are doing well. We have activities throughout the year, and so not all of our matches come to everything, but we tend to have the opportunity to have interaction and see how the matches are interacting both with themselves but also with each other. So
you're putting two people together. You've got a kid and adult, and they've maybe never met, but the child has sought it out and said, I want to be a part of this program. Sure, I think you said that you will interview both sides and say, what are your interests? And if one kid says, I just want to be a mechanic, and there's an adult who likes to wrench on cars, they would be a good match. You'd try and put them together. 3 times a month-ish?
3 to 4.
For
a
couple hours a week. And then beyond the individual time that they will do, you also provide activities that I know I've seen my kids have done some of them. What's the benefit of doing that whole group? Like, I think you guys are going ice fishing on Sunday if the lakes don't melt too much. But you get everybody together for like a big party, whether it's a pizza party and swimming or ice fishing on a lake, and you involve families and the whole thing. What's the benefit of that?
Well, I'll speak into that. I think, all of us want to feel like we belong, right, to a community. And a lot of the kids who enter into our program maybe don't have that connection anywhere. They might not be involved in a sport, or they might not be involved in an extracurricular activity. And so when we can pull all our mentors and kids together to do an activity, they get to know some of these other kids. The mentors get to know other mentors and have a support group just through that. Our kids get to know one another, and they become friends, and they feel like they're a part of something. And I think, human connection, that's really, really important, for, us to feel like, we mean something to someone else. And so these activities are just great, and we love coming to them, and when we can, we bring our kids to them too, and they love it as well. So yeah, I don't know if anyone has anything to add to that.
I think the only thing I would add is it also gives them exposure to activities they might not otherwise get to do. So like this summer we were able to go on a lake, and they were able to try skiing and tubing. We actually had planes and pilots who volunteered their time, which was incredible. So, an opportunity to go flying for some of our youth. They have never done that and might not get a chance to do that. And so being able to have that experience. We're ice fishing this coming Sunday, getting out on the lake and just having that experience with volunteers who have all of the supplies and equipment. In the summer, a group of fishermen also take kids out on the lake and have an opportunity to go fishing. They might not have access to a boat. So it's also that opportunity to do some different activities and have exposure to new things.
Which kind of brings up another facet. The activities have kind of morphed into this really neat opportunity to tap into groups of people with shared interests, like these group of boaters or group of fishermen who they may not have the interest or time to mentor one-on-one but you give them an opportunity to take a kid out fishing, and they are there, and they're bringing their friends, and we're saying, like, we don't have enough kids for you for the boats, and they're still coming, and they just love it. And so, like, even to be able to broaden that, and for those kids to see, they're coming out here for me, like, they're taking me fishing, they're enjoying it, they're enjoying their time with me. That has been a fun addition that has started to kind of come up more.
And just to add to some of these activities, they're expensive. We go snow tubing at Trollhagen. We've gone to the children's theater, and that can get really expensive. And so just another reason why some of these kids maybe would never have the opportunity to do that. And we'll often get discounted rates, or we get sponsors for some of the activities so that we can cover some or all of the cost. Our goal, of course, is to cover the entire cost, and so we do what we can in our budget to do that.
Yeah.
So
We'll talk a little bit about the budget too, but I remember years ago hearing about a group of inner city kids that were taken out camping in the north woods of Wisconsin, and not only had they never gone camping, but they had never seen the sky without lights because they lived in the city. And so you talk about some of these opportunities to go see a play at the children's theater, or down at the Guthrie, or go on an airplane ride and land on a lake. There's a lot of kids. I mean, I was a kid who had 9 brothers and sisters. We didn't do hardly anything. We just couldn't afford it. And so to be able to have an organization say, hey, we're going to go on a mission trip to Mexico. Do you want to come and experience all that? That was super unique and a lot of fun. And so I can only imagine what that is. But you brought up cost, and so we should probably talk a little bit about how do you run this program, and like what are some of the numbers, and how do you raise money, and how can people help?
Sure. We reach out to the local community. Our budget, we run on a budget of around $200,000 per year. We write for a lot of grants. That funding is about 35% of our budget. We do a large fundraiser every year. Some people who are watching might know about that. It's our annual luau fundraiser. Happens every August.
It's the most expensive cakes on the planet.
Most expensive. You're right. They're very tasty. We raise a lot of money doing that. This year, I believe, will be our 15th annual luau fundraiser, and so every year we just keep growing it and raising more money.
So for people who might not know what I mean by the most expensive cakes is, somewhere along the line they started to have people donate cakes, and they auction these cakes off, and some of the tables will buy these, and it's a lot of time companies or individuals who have the means to do it, but some of these cakes are going for thousands of dollars.
Yes.
And then you get to have one piece, and you hope you sit at the right table. But I mean, the generosity at that event, between all the games and then that auction, is truly amazing. And I had the opportunity to go this year and check it out, and people just had a lot of fun. I mean, like, it was legit. They weren't forced to be there by a spouse. They just really had a lot of fun, and so that was fun to watch. But
we're at capacity at the venue we're at as well, and so people call and they say, hey, do you have any tickets left? Can we get in? And we're pretty full to the max, and so we just love where we're at. Gigi, who owns Celebrations at the Gables, it's between Balsam Lake and Turtle Lake, she does just a wonderful job. She's great to work with. But I guess it's not a bad problem to have, that people want to come, and we
put a good party on.
Yeah,
you talked about sponsors. How many sponsors do you have, and do you want to?
Sure. So we do.
Do you dare
corporate?
list some of them? Or don't miss any.
I dare? I don't want to miss any. We do. Right now, I'm working through our new corporate sponsors for 2023. Last year we had Lake Services Unlimited, Schaefer Manufacturing, Midwest One Bank, F&C Bank. I believe Sign Express is coming on this year. And then during Luau we sponsor tables, and so we have signature sponsors then. To not forget anyone, I'm not going to list them. We have over 22 to 24 sponsors. SF Insurance is a great sponsor. They always purchase over two tables. And I believe some of them in their group have been coming since the beginning when we first started. So, we're really grateful to them. The school districts all partner with us as well financially and provide a little bit of funding. And then we do have just individuals who donate and other businesses who donate to us as far as budget goes.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, any organization, especially nonprofit, has its challenges, and the fundraising can only do so much. And besides the fundraising, then there's the mentoring aspect of finding mentors. Kind of an easy throw-up question for someone. What's easier to find, the mentees who want to be mentored or the mentors?
Definitely the mentees. What has been interesting, and I'll just throw it out there, is every once in a while we do have mentors who are screened and ready. But like Shara said, we work really hard to make sure proximity, that mentors and mentees are close. So especially in the winter, you're going back and forth and transporting our kids back and forth. And so again, we are not just putting warm bodies together, but we really are looking to make sure proximity is close enough, and then the interests are there. And so if we have to have a mentee wait, even if we might have 4 mentors screened and ready, but they're not in the right spot. And that is really frustrating at times, but it's also worth the wait of making sure it's a match that can continue over the long haul. We ask for 1 year minimum commitment. I might not have said that before from our mentors, but we aren't shy about the fact that we are really aiming that at that 1 year mark, both sides would like to continue. And I think our average matches are lasting, pushing 4 years right now.
Just over 4 years, yeah.
And again, not to scare anybody who's coming forward, we are asking 1 year, and we realize life happens. But what has been really fun is our matches tend to get to that 1 year mark, and they both really enjoy and see the benefit, and they want to continue. And so we have anything from matches that are lasting years until graduation, or things change, people move, something happens. But
How would you describe waiting? Describe without saying the name. Talk about some of the kids that are out there waiting and their interests. Maybe it would pique someone's interest that's watching.
Yeah.
Currently, I have quite a few middle school age boys waiting, and their interests vary from sports and being outside to more inside activities like video games, and even like painting and artist type stuff. Yeah, I think that's the broad majority of mine right now is that middle school-ish age boy.
I should ask, so you have families that mentor, but individuals, do you just do like boys together and girls together, so you're not mixing the genders?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
one thing to add, I keep on adding things, so I apologize, but I think it's important for mentors to know, or anybody who's thinking about it, this isn't a mandatory program, so nobody is forced into it. It's not that we have these teen boys who are, I don't want to mentor, I don't want to be a part of this. If they're in our program waiting, it's because they really want to be mentored, and their parents want them to be mentored. So we have the support going. They're not being forced into something that they don't want to do, which I think is a really important key piece of the success.
Yeah.
So I know, Shar, you were going to add in for...
Yeah, I have 5 teens on my list. A lot of outdoor interest. I have 3 boys and 2 girls. I have the kid who's all about mechanics and engines and fishing, girls who are into horses and that kind of thing, baking. So a good variety of interests. But yes, the fact that both parents and the mentee is looking for it, they want it, and that's a question we ask in the interview process, and even evaluate from the kid. Does it seem like they're wanting this, and that's what makes it a go.
I think as coordinators too, we're very open and don't sugarcoat, and so we do have a wide variety of needs, I think we would say, in terms of the youth that you could just scoop up and do just about anything with, and youth that might be a little bit more picky or choosy. And so we really try to give the real honest picture as best we can of the personalities and the interests and the overall flavor. So it sounds like a really good fit, or this might not be the best fit for me. And mentors have a lot of say too. I think that's another important piece, is when you come into our program, we're really asking you to tell us, if there's a certain age group you feel more comfortable with. We want to know that, and we're going to honor that. If there's a certain personality that you just don't do as well with, we're going to make note of that and make sure that the children that we are putting in front as options fit what you're comfortable with. And so we really, going back to making good matches, we're more about quality matches than just getting people off our waiting list as soon as possible, as much as we want to do that.
So as people are thinking, if someone's watching this, or someone shares this with somebody, and they say, if you were to say, if you have X amount of hours a month or X amount of times a month, and you have an interest in the list, what would it be? How many hours are you looking for, days? And what are some interests that a good mentor would bring to the table?
You know, that's kind of an interesting question. And I will obviously defer to you guys as well, but I think that's kind of hard to answer because, like, I'm thinking of my caseload alone, and I think the interest for one young man is going to be totally different than for another one. So one is going to be very artistic, like if you like to make things with wood, if you're a carpenter or you enjoy tinkering with that kind of stuff, like he would just love to, you know, hang out and build a birdhouse or build a whatever, you know, be crafty in that way. Where another one is like, I just, you know, my dad's not around, I just want to get out hunting and fishing, and I like to be outside, and I like to, you know, I like to stack wood with my mentor because it's, I'm outside and he's paying attention to me, you know.
No, we don't, this is not a labor.
Well, I mean, I'm not, but
if they want to.
right. But I'm just saying, like, it's really hard to say, if you like this, then you're a good fit, because some of them get together every time and they do the exact same thing. They make supper, they do a little bit of homework together, they maybe watch a favorite show, and that's what they're doing. And others are like doing activities that I wish I could tag along with. You know, like it's totally different. And as far as time, I mean, our handbook says an hour is like a minimum time, but even that's kind of difficult to judge because some it's an all evening thing. Some they've just essentially said, I don't know that I have an extra hour, but I can take a kid along with me when I go on my Walmart run, or I can take a kid along with me when I, you know, check, you know, maple syrup stuff, or like I just incorporate them into what I'm doing. So I don't necessarily have extra time, but I can take somebody along with me on what I'm already doing.
I think it's funny that you said Walmart run, because I think it's amazing how much our kids just want to go to Walmart.
How much I'm at Walmart.
They just want to hang out. My son is 8, and he will ask to come and clean my office because he just wants to hang out. And it's sometimes I'm kind of annoyed because I've got work to do, and I have to remember, like, he doesn't. It's not about that I pay him, because I don't pay him very well, but he just wants to hang out with Dad, and he's willing to do vacuum and clean toilets to do it. So you know. So that's great. Well, amazing things. I think it sounds like a ton of fun. The variety of different interests that the kids have and that the mentors bring, whether it's, you know, outdoor stuff, artsy stuff, or mechanical, and probably you name it, you could probably find someone that would want to hang out and do that. How do people get involved? Like, if someone is sitting there saying, that could be me, how do they get more information about this program?
Sure. Give us a call. We'd love to meet over coffee to talk a little bit more about what you're thinking. You know, I don't know if you're going to put up our information. You can go to our website as well and take a look. If you just Google Kinship of Polk County, you'll find it there. We also have a Facebook page where we try to update, you know, our activities. All our contact information is there as well. So really just give us a call if you're interested, and we'll have a conversation over the phone, and we'll go from there, really.
And I know for some people, they're maybe thinking mentoring, it just isn't the right stage of life. I've got a bunch of little kids or whatever it is. Word of mouth is huge for us, and everybody knows people. We also make a point of not badgering people. So we will reach out one time, and if it's just not the right fit, you don't end up on this email newsletter list forever and ever or whatever. But if you know people, if you're thinking about people and you think, man, they would be a great mentor and they just hit the empty nest stage or whatever, please reach out with those names. And that's super helpful to us.
Absolutely.
I think I'm going to put one plug into is in Osceola, we actually do have one of the buildings, the elementary building, that the high school schedule doesn't work at all. And so we have adults who are mentoring on Thursday mornings from 8 to 8:30 and currently have a need for at least one more. And so that's a really nice way if you are in the Osceola community and want to just step in and get a feel for what mentoring is all about. It's a half an hour once a week with no expectation of moving it beyond that, but we have had matches that have then transitioned to community-based because they have connected well. and have been able to then transition into the community and do more.
And really, if that sounds appealing to you, we aren't, school mentoring isn't limited to high school mentors. If that's something that you would like to try out in a more confined, controlled environment, that would be something that at any school district, if you got a hold of us, we could incorporate that piece in as well.
Yeah,
If someone wants to do I have a bunch of fishing gear and wants to just be,
Volunteer.
part of the volunteer crew, is that something that they have to go through that whole process as well to participate, or is that something that there's enough adults there? Because I'm sure someone listening who thinks fishing on Sunday would be fun. You have an informational meeting coming up in February that you'll outline kind of the whole program for people that might be interested. Someone want to talk a little bit about where that is and when?
Sure, we are doing that on February 27th, which is a Tuesday. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay.
I think
Look
so.
at your calendar. It's February 27th from 6 to 7, so it won't be very long. We'll provide food and just an opportunity to put information in front of anyone who is interested. What Shara said is exactly right. We are not going to push anyone beyond. It is a commitment, and we want to be clear that we actually screen out versus screening in when somebody's interested. We want to make sure that you've thought through time commitment and that it is a good fit for your current schedule. But like she said as well, we love putting information in front of people. So even if you're like, I don't know if this is the right time, but I'm kind of interested, and you just want to come and at least meet us and ask a few questions, get a little information. And if you decide it's not the right time for me, we will respect that. And but we'd love to just get information. The waiting list in Amory is fairly high right now, and so that's why we positioned it in that community of hoping we have some people come forward that will ask those questions and maybe share the information with others and get the just the word out that we are looking for mentors. And Amory is one of the communities that needs you.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's at East Lincoln Alliance. I don't know if we said that, in Amory on February 27th at 6 o'clock.
All right. And Ben Dryden did share the website, which is polkkinship.org. And a special note from Barron County Sheriff's Department saying thank you for all you do. Mentoring is very important, and we wholeheartedly agree with that. So I want to thank you guys for being here on a snowy day. And it's hard enough to get one person to commit, yet alone 4 people. And so thank you for taking time this morning to do that. I know you have busy days.
Thank you for having us.
thank you.
This is great. Thank you.
Absolutely. I want to also thank our show sponsor, Rhett Bozen, and he's the AT&T retailer in Wisconsin. You can skip the store and get personalized attention for your next phone or cellular service upgrade. So remember to mention remember to mention Dryden Wire to hear about the show specials that he's offering. And on behalf of Dryden Wire, I'm Kirk Anderson, and you're watching the Kirk Anderson Show. Have a safe day.